What's up, guys? Randy with Ace Tactical. Today we're going to be doing a gun review on a Smith & Wesson MP2.0 that was worked on by Monsoon Tactical. He did lucky 7 ports up top. You guys will see closer footage of that. We're going to start out with a warm-up drill on this target right over here, and we'll get into it. What's up, guys? Randy here again with Ace Tactical. Today we're going to be doing another pistol review. This is going to be Smith & Wesson MP2.0 done up by Monsoon Tactical. We'll go ahead and ensure the weapon is cleared. There's no magazine to take out, but we'll lock it to the rear. This firearm is cleared. MP2.0 done up by Monsoon Tactical. We got his notorious lucky 7 ports done at the top, and then the slide cut for a Delta Point Pro. So this particular MP 2.0 is the 5-inch barrel model, equipped with a manual safety. Not my preference, but I got a really good deal on it, so I just dealt with the manual safety. Not a big deal to me. Not my preference, but again, not a deal breaker given the price that I paid for the firearm. Leupold Delta Point Pro is the optic we're rocking with. In the shooting footage, you will see a Streamlight TLR1 that I took off just because I'm going to be offloading this gun, putting it on the market. I wanted to keep the pistol light so I can transfer it to a different pistol. Going down, we got the Apex trigger for MP 2.0, and then at the very bottom, Taran Tactical Magwell. So that's the basic rundown of this firearm. Let's go ahead and get into the talking points about everything. All right, guys, so the MP 2.0, this particular pistol, I wanted to go for that kind of chocolate chip, black and FDE peanut butter kind of color combo. So when originally I got this slide, before I sent it off to Monsoon Tactical, this was an FDE slide, and then I went ahead and also just bought a black back strap to replace the FDE one. And then black trigger, FDE Leupold Delta Point Pro, black Taran Tactical Magwell. So that's the color combo I went with for this one. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. All right, guys, as always, let's go ahead and start from top, work our way to the bottom. We'll talk about what I like, what I don't like. Leupold Delta Point Pro, you guys know I'm a big fan of this optic. This one, however, this is the 6 MOA dot. I personally prefer anywhere between a 2 and a 4 MOA. 6 MOA, 5 MOA even, they're just a little too big for me if I'm shooting at distance. They take up a little too much of the target size. A more proficient shooter probably can work around that and probably has no issues, but at the skill level I shoot at, I do prefer a smaller MOA optic. All right, guys, 5 rounds. We got reduced C-zone target out there, 60 yards. Out of 5. But other than that, I love the Delta Point Pro. You guys know that. It has a good size window. It's a little more durable than the SRO. It is, just be aware, the Delta Point Pro is not a duty rated optic. However, I would trust it. I think it's plenty durable for what it is. I haven't had any issues with them. With that being said, I do prefer to the Delta Point Pro the Aimpoint Acro and the Trijicon RMR. Those are my top 2. I would put the Delta Point Pro at number 3. Working our way down, let's go ahead and talk about this slide and barrel. So slide and barrel, this is the heart of the gun. This is what I sent off to Monsoon Tactical to do work on, and he did a phenomenal job with his lucky 7 ports. You guys will see a close-up footage of it. But lucky 7 ports, they do a good job at reducing muzzle flip and getting that dot back on target for faster follow-up shots. So I was very happy with the work done by Monsoon Tactical. No nothing bad to say about it. I was really happy with it. All right, guys, one more thing about the slide. The only thing that I would kind of nitpick and the only thing I would change about this slide is this is more of a, so it's factory slide aside from this cut where the ports are. But one thing I would have liked to seen from Smith & Wesson themselves is get these rear serrations up at the front. You do have this kind of indented groove right here for if you were to rack the slide from the front, like how I prefer to rack the slide from the front. So I just take my hand like so, get my thumb right here where these indented grooves are, and then back. That's how I rack most pistols. If you are one of those weirdos that like to grab the slide from the back and kind of slingshot that forward, you do you. That's your preference. I'm not a big fan of doing that. Not a big fan. It's not for me. I wish there were front slide serrations, but this little in groove I was talking about, indent, does a good job at getting a good real estate purchase on the slide for people like myself who do rack from the front. But for extra security and extra insurance, I would have liked to see front slide serrations other than these ones at the bottom here. All right, guys, moving down the frame, we're going to talk about the trigger. This is the Apex tactical trigger for the Smith & Wesson MP 2.0. This is my #1 complaint about this particular firearm. I'm not a big fan of this trigger at all. This is the only reason why I actually plan to get rid and sell this gun. So let's talk about this trigger a little bit. Apex tactical trigger. This safety right here, the way I pull the trigger, I have a hard time consistently defeating this safety to make the gun go bang. So as you can see, we'll go ahead and deactivate the manual safety. We'll double check, make sure this firearm's cleared, which it is. So manual safety is deactivated. I tend to pull a little higher with my fingers on the trigger. So like right now, as you can see, I'm unable to deactivate and defeat that trigger safety, and it's not doing anything. If I do pay attention and like use the actual pad of my finger more or go lower on the trigger, then I have no issues defeating it. And you'll see in the shooting footage, there were times where like the trigger or the gun, the cadence that the gun is shooting lags or kind of skips. And that's just because the way I pulled the trigger, I'm unable to defeat the trigger safety. And then I end up having a dead trigger and not being able to shoot. And I have to remind myself to go a little lower on the gun or use more of the pad of my finger to get that trigger to break. So I'll show an example of that right now. Up here, I'm pulling pretty hard, nothing's happening. We'll go ahead down here, defeat the safety. You get the click. All right, guys, so you might say, well, if your trigger is your only complaint about the gun, why don't you just change the trigger back out for a different one or go back to stock? And here is the thing. This trigger, or the MP 2.0, I should say, is one of the most difficult triggers to work on. I'm not a super mechanically inclined person, but like the P320 and all Glocks, I consider them to be pretty simple when changing out the trigger or doing pretty much any work on a Glock or P320. I don't have issues with it. I can watch a YouTube video, figure it out. This one, I was able to watch a YouTube video and figure it out. However, you just need a lot of tools and a lot of patience to swap out this trigger. And I just told myself I never want to work on this trigger again. So rather than swapping it back to stock or swapping it to a different trigger, I'm just going to sell the gun, move on from it. So Apex tactical trigger for the MP 2.0. I hated it enough that I'm going to get rid of the entire firearm and then just take a loss on it and get funds towards my next pistol that I'll be reviewing. All right, guys, my next, I guess I'll say complaint about this particular pistol is going to be the grip texture. I'm a huge fan of the grip texture they did down here. I just wish they would have brought it up a little higher on the support side So when I do get purchased with my support hand up here, it's not this smooth area, and I have something to kind of lock down on when I'm gripping down with my support side. Other than that, I think Smith & Wesson did a great job with the actual grip texture down here. Again, I just wish they would have brought it up higher and not have this smooth spot right here, just because when I am gripping down with my support hand, I would like, you know, some texture to prevent slipping with my support hand. But other than that, those were only my real 2 complaints about this firearm. And that could be fixed by throwing sandpaper there or getting a quick stippling done. But even something as simple as sandpaper or some grip tape up here would fix my complaint about the grip texture itself up high. However, again, this trigger, I don't want to work on it anymore. I don't want to deal with it ever again. So, all right, guys, moving down to the bottom, we have the Taran Tactical Magwell. As you can see here, it's a Magwell. Not a whole lot to say about it. It feels nice, looks nice. Taran Tactical did a good job with it. It's a Magwell. It just flares it out a little bit, makes your reloads a little easier. But as you will see in the shooting footage, I still fumbled a lot of reloads. I don't know how much of it will show, but I did fumble a good amount of reloads. That just comes down to lack of training with this firearm. Majority of my training I do with my Glock. But that's lack of training with this particular firearm, so my reloads, they weren't smooth. I would come up here and then it would kind of get caught. The Magwell helped a lot with me being able to override it and just kind of shove it in. It's a band-aid for lack of training. Like when I switch handguns a lot, which I do, lack of training or going from muscle memory training with one handgun and then having to go back to a different handgun, you'll see I mess up reloads a lot. It comes down to training more, guys. Somebody who trains with this more often or is just a more proficient shooter in general will have no issues with it. But this Magwell helps with saving my reloads that would have been really bad and just making them kind of bad reloads. Next thing let's talk about how the gun presents when we go to present it. So I will say I think it's a more natural grip angle than the Glock grip angle, but I don't think it's as natural as like a 1911. Every time I go to present it, the dots are there. I don't really have much issue finding it. However, I also don't have any issue finding the Glock grip angle just because of how much I train with it. Like I said, that is the gun that I train with the most, but I did have to kind of ingrain that muscle memory to kind of orient my wrist downwards a little more with the Glock to pick up the red dot versus with this. It's more natural. I think if you were to transition from pretty much any firearm to this, you would notice it's a pretty natural presentation. There's not much, I don't really miss the dot much when I'm looking for it. Yeah, guys, every time I go to present, the dots are there. It's pretty natural. I don't have to kind of fish around for it or like do anything weird with my head and search for the dot. So quick recap of this gun. Quick recap. Monsoon Tactical, Lucky 7 ports. Love them. They do a good job at keeping the gun flat, reducing recoil, reducing muzzle flip, keeping your dot on target for faster follow-up shots. So Monsoon Tactical, Lucky 7 ports, highly recommend them. He did a great job. Apex trigger, don't like it at all, hate it. I think it sucks. I hate working on this gun. So take that for what you will. Thanks for watching, guys. Join us next time on Ace Tactical. We're gonna be doing a review on this right here, Cogwork sling bag. I'm really excited for this. I'll let you guys know right now that I've been shooting with it. I'm a big fan of it. You guys will see footage to come probably in the next few weeks or so once I spend a little more time with it. Learn the ins and outs of it a little better, and then get some footage of that for you guys. As always, like and subscribe, share, whatever you guys can to support. I appreciate it a lot. Let me know in the comments below if you rock an MP 2.0 yourself, what kind of trigger you use, if you swapped out the trigger yourself, if you also thought it was a pain, or maybe I'm just a mechanical idiot and I couldn't figure it out. And if you do rock the Apex Tactical trigger, let me know how you like it. Also in the comments, let me know what you'd like to see on the channel in the future. Thanks, guys.